Hello there my RPG lovers and welcome to another video. First-person RPGs are pretty rare nowadays. Ever since I started making these videos, I think more than 80% of games I covered were third-person RPGs. I always try to include something for everyone if possible, but finding a new first-person RPG, let alone a good first-person RPG, is always a huge challenge. So I decided to make a list of 5 upcoming first-person RPGs that I'm personally looking forward to. I think it's a pretty comprehensive list of new RPGs, which happen to have the first-person perspective. So if you enjoy these kinds of games, you might find something to look forward to. But let me tell you about the sponsor of this video first. The age of sorcery comes to Conan Exiles. Survive in a vast and savage world, build your kingdom, and dominate your enemies in brutal combat and epic warfare. Develop your character from surviving exile into mighty barbarian, corrupted sorcerer, or anything in between. Become a master of dark forces of sorcery at the cost of health and stamina. The deeper you draw, the more corruption you let in, enhancing your powers but visibly withering your body. Perform summoning rituals to summon demonic and undead followers, vanish from plain sight, and conjure darkness of storms at will. Sorcery requires preparation and madness in equal measure. Character specialization in Age of Sorcery is deeper than ever. Every attribute has been rebalanced and its effects tweaked. Additionally, players now receive a choice between perks for each attribute, letting them specialize further. Sorcerers who have become sufficiently corrupted will unlock a special sorcery perk. Building receives a complete overhaul, complete with a new and dedicated interface, massively improving building for both keyboard and controller players. Following Age of Sorcery, each age will continue to have its own theme, free gameplay updates, and battle passes. Ages look to the future, in order to deliver evenly paced content drops and an easy way for any player to support the game's growth and receive exclusive themed cosmetics. Directly available through the main menu, Creative Mode allows players to focus on building without material or movement restrictions. Raise whole cities in no time and then explore them with your friends. Check out Conan Exiles Age of Sorcery by using my link in the description. Number 5. Return to Nangrim. Back in September of 2021, I had the opportunity to try out the demo for this game. It was actually more of a playable teaser because it only had a couple of major features which are planned for the full release. Return to Nangrim is supposed to be a dark first-person fantasy adventure with survival and RPG elements. The playable teaser definitely had a very dark atmosphere as far as I remember, so that description is on point, I guess. This game will not focus that much on fighting, although you'll have to defend yourself from various creatures in the shadows according to their websites. The game follows the story and the legacy of almost forgotten nation of the Stonebeard dwarves, who used to live in the inhospitable realms of Nangrim mountains. There seems to be a big emphasis on the crafting and gathering materials in the game, which goes very well with the whole dwarven theme, I guess. The crafting has a step-by-step process where you have to adjust the furnace heat level depending on the recipe of the item you wish to craft. I got to do some exploring and gathering along with crafting, but there was no combat in the playable teaser. I know it's not the main focus of the game, but I'm really curious to see how it's going to work. Return to Nangrim will have procedurally generated content along with puzzles, but that's pretty much everything we know about the game so far. I think it definitely has the potential to be a very solid game. Number 4. Ardenfall. Ardenfall is another upcoming RPG that I covered in one of my previous videos. However, now I got to play the demo on Steam, which you can check out for yourself as well. Ardenfall is an upcoming open-world RPG set in a world of intricate politics and ancient cultures. This game has deep RPG features and mechanics, along with a highly stylized, low-poly artistic style. After playing the demo, I honestly believe that this game deserves a lot more attention.
Hi.
Sure, the heavily stylized graphic style might not be for everyone, but if you don't have a problem with that, you're going to find everything that you would expect to see in a proper RPG. Honestly, I'm not a huge fan of these kinds of visuals myself, but it's not something that's going to stop me from playing the game. Especially after I spent some time playing the demo and exploring the world, it's actually beautiful. According to Spellcast Studios, Ardenfall has a very rich lore, extensive dialogue options with meaningful choices, multiple ways to solve quests, and so on. The character customization system has a lot of role-playing options which affect the gameplay. You have to choose between a couple of major factions, character traits, your background, attributes, and starting items. As you can probably tell, the game has stereotypical RPG playstyles. You can be a warrior, a sneaky thief, a mage, or something in between. It all depends on how you progress your character. I chose a warrior in the demo and I had a lot of fun exploring the world and trying to figure out how things work. The demo gives you a level 20 character with some pretty good starting gear, but that's obviously not going to be the case in the full game. Ardenfall has an action combat system which utilizes the hotbar and you can instantly cast or use items by just pressing the corresponding button. I had regular attacks with the sword, a charged attack that slows down the time, and I found some useful items like shurikens and poison bombs. You also have defensive moves like the block and the parry mechanic, which is just a time block. The melee combat feels decent, although there is a lot of room for improvements, so it's going to be interesting to see how the game moves forward. The UI is very clean and easy to understand. The inventory has a nice character highlight window, which kinda reminds me of Oblivion. I just love being able to see 3D models of each item you can equip on your character, so this is always a big plus in my book. There's actually a lot more info about this game that you can check out by visiting their website or checking out the demo for yourself, which I definitely recommend. But now we have to move on. Number 3. Monomyth. Monomyth is a dungeon crawler action RPG set in an apocalyptic fantasy world. After playing the demo on Steam, I think it's more of an immersive sim with RPG elements. And yeah, this game also has a playable demo on Steam that you can try out for yourself. The movement, the combat, and especially the level design seems to be heavily inspired by Thief games. I'm probably not the best person to make this comparison because I didn't play Thief games that much, but that's how I felt while playing the demo. My most favorite thing about this demo is easily the level design and the dark atmosphere which the game creates. The map is heavily interconnected and you usually have to find keys or other items in order to get to certain areas. Monomyth's gameplay is very methodical, as you probably might expect in an immersive sim game, I guess. You'll find keys behind different objects that you'll have to move first. Or for example, I can't just click on this lever even though I have it in the inventory, I have to press the combine button in order to use it. Then we have the combat. I'm probably going to sound like a broken record, but the melee combat feels like the modern version of Thief games. To be honest, I'm not a huge fan of how it feels because it's very simplistic. However, it seems like that was a deliberate design choice. But the melee combat is only one of different ways to play your character. As you can see from all the stats you can increase, you'll have a couple of different playstyles to choose. If you wanna use magic, you'll have to find and attune spells at one of the shrines. These shrines are used to level up, invest your stat points and attune spells. Monomyth is going to be released very soon, according to the Steam page at least, so you don't have to wait for long if you want to try out this game. I definitely recommend trying out the demo as well. Number 2. Avowed. This is probably the most famous game on the list. Avowed is being developed by Obsidian Entertainment, a studio that doesn't require much introduction. They developed RPGs like Pillars of Eternity, Knights of the Old Republic 2, Fallout New Vegas and so on. There is very limited info about this game. We still only have one single announcement trailer, which doesn't even have any real gameplay in it. But this was enough to get a lot of fans excited for this upcoming first-person RPG from a well-respected studio. The trailer came out 2 years ago and we didn't get any new official info ever since then, which is a bit concerning. But anyway, this game is set in Pillars of Eternity universe. According to Windows Central, Avowed will have action-oriented first-person combat in which you can dual-wield different weapons. You might use 2 daggers for a rogue-style character, a bow, a combination of weapons and magic, or just dual-wield some powerful spells. Weapon enchantments such as magical swords or frozen arrows are also mentioned as well. We also have a pretty big list of features, but this is not officially confirmed, so take it with a grain of salt. Some of the mentioned features are fully open world that's supposedly much bigger than Skyrim, deep character creation, 2 large cities with smaller settlements, lots of factions, and what's perhaps the most interesting if you ask me, the ability to kill every NPC in the game. When a game has this option, it can give the player a lot of freedom. But that also means the game has to properly adapt if you decide to kill some important NPC. It's going to be interesting to see if all these rumors are true, and I really hope we get to see something new about this game. Number 1. Wayward Realms. This is one of my most anticipated RPGs in general. This game is being developed by the same people who created The Elder Scrolls II: Daggerfall. Daggerfall had a huge procedurally generated world, so we knew from the beginning that Wayward Realms will have a similar design philosophy, but with a more modern approach. We recently got a new video from their official channel, where we could finally see some in-game footage. It's pre-alpha footage where they talk about the world generation systems. And even though it's just pre-alpha, we can already see the resemblance to Daggerfall. It basically looks like the modern version of that game. When it comes to other features, the Wayward Realms is set on a group of over 100 islands, ranging from small to massive. The game will have a lot of factions that fight for influence and power. We're going to have a myriad of complex and dynamic faction relations, and a realistically scaled open world where players will experience a new class of game, the Grand RPG. Players will venture through strange lands, encountering humans, elves, dwarves, and other races of more unusual nature. There are some pretty interesting screenshots on their official Twitter page which showcase some of the environments in the game. Looks pretty damn good for the pre-alpha version if you ask me. They post regular updates on Twitter, so you can check their page out for more interesting posts and stories. I'm really excited to see the final release of this game. And if they actually manage to deliver everything that's promised, it could be a very influential RPG. The Grand RPG sounds like a great new subgenre, but we'll have to wait and see, I guess. And that will be all for this video. Tell me what game looks the best to you and why. Leave a comment down below. Thank you for watching, and big thanks to Conan Exiles for sponsoring the video. Don't forget to subscribe for more RPG contents. If you want to support the channel in the long run, consider becoming a Patreon or a YouTube member. You can get your name on the end credits, as well as some other perks like early access to videos, Discord roles, my plans for future content, etc, etc. That will be all, and I'll see you in the next one.